Things alternative ancient history sellers can't explain. Recently, there's been a lot of buzz about how a group of researchers have been measuring specially selected ancient stone vases to try to prove they were made with advanced tools, similar to modern CNC machines, but that the vases are not modern, but rather from the last ice age. And they might not even be vases at all, but rather high-tech components of some kind. Their measurements indicate that the vase shapes are often within microns of what they would consider an ideal measurement, so they conclude that they could not have been made with hand tools. But all their vases are only partially precise. What I've never heard them explain is what kind of tool made the imprecise parts of the same object. Did the same tool that made the outside of a vase perfectly round also make the lopsided handles or the rough interior? Or was it a different kind of tool? Did they make part of the vase with a high-tech tool and part with a hand tool?
You just answered your own question. There's always many people do that. They ask a question and then they immediately answer it by saying, well, did they use the machine that makes things nice and round and pretty even and then use another tool or by hand? Yes. So the way it works is ancient humans did not use machines. They used machines, of course, but they didn't use it for the purpose of producing the final product. They used it to take a stone, which more likely would be a cylinder shape, a core that they took out when they did tube drilling. They took out the core, and instead of throwing it away, they recycled it and turned it into vases. So they took the core, put it on a lathe, and started working on it. And it would rotate consistently in the same direction, the same speed, right? And if it's steady enough, when you're cutting it, right, it'll be consistent. So it will be essentially nearly perfect. But nothing is ever perfect. Not even in modern day time do we have perfection in our products and in our machining. So our machines that we use in modern day times don't make things perfect. So I'm not surprised that ancient machines didn't make things perfect. Just because something isn't perfect does not mean it was not done by machines. It will have to be super imperfect. And it's like, yeah, there's a high probability you didn't use a machine. It was highly imperfect. The fact that you say small pieces of it, like the inside and the handles are imperfect, but everything else is perfect, or everything else is quality, because it's not really about perfection, it's more about quality. So, like, I'll say 10% of the vase was imperfect, right? Was low quality, not perfect, right? Low quality, and then the remaining 90% was quality. It's more about quality versus, it's more about high quality versus low quality. So it's more about quality than precision or perfection, because there is no perfection and there's no precision, right? It's more of like good enough shape. The fact that the vases are round, which is a circular shape, and circle is considered to be perfect, right? Because that's the idea of a circle, is it's consistently the same distance and all that stuff, ratio and all that stuff. So anyway, the main point is, yes, the vase is imperfect, but anything that's man-made, even if a man used a machine to make it, it'd be imperfect. So the machine will be imperfect, and then it creates something. It won't be surprised if it's imperfect, because the machine was imperfect. And humans are imperfect, so humans have a habit of making imperfect things. And so this, if anything, this just proves it definitely was done by humans, and the fact that it's pretty good quality, really, really good quality, with a little bit of imperfections, prove that yes, machines was involved. It would have to have a lot of imperfections for it to definitely be man-made. But the idea here is, for example, like to answer his question, why the outside looked really, really good and the inside really, really bad, like really low quality, and the outside was good quality, is because after they made the vase, they polished it. So they used another machine, a machine that's designed to polish and is designed to help make the outside look good. Now, when it comes to the handles, well, the handles were handmade, because you have to hand make the handles. Because even I thought about, and I'll make a video about it, on how to make a vase using a lathe, and how you would, a vase with a handle. And yes, I'm aware that you would have to use a hand tool. It could still be a machine, but it'll be a hand tool. Now, I could set it up where it's a machine that does the drilling and stuff, that does the handles, a machine specifically for doing handles. But more likely, what happened in ancient times is they used a lathe, which they use for everything they make, right? It's just something that can spin. So they put a piece of stone on it and the stone spins, and they use hand tools on that stone and get the outcome that they get, which is vases, right? And they make all different types of vases. So the handles are the only things that's going to require a little bit of handmade work, because they probably use something different, like a hand tool, as opposed to using the lathe itself. So they won't use the same machine to do something on the item. They will use a different method. And that's the thing, thinking that, oh, if they use machines, then that machine has to do everything. Not only does it have to cut the vase, it has to hollow it out, it has to make the handles, it has to drill holes, it has to carve hieroglyphs on it, it has to polish it to make it look pretty. It has to, no, because even our modern day machines don't do everything. We have different machines for different stuff, right? We don't have one screwdriver that can screw anything, right? We have a Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, right? A hex screwdriver. Like, we have different types of tools. That's the point. We have different tools for different things. So yes, you will use a lathe for spinning things to make things round, and then you use stuff to polish, right? You use a different machine or a different tool to polish stuff, and then you would use some chisels and some hammers, right? That stuff will still be involved. You will use wire saws, or you use hand saws. You will use different tools, because even artists who make stuff out of marble or stone and stuff like that, they use different tools. They don't use just one tool to rule them all. There's not one magical tool that makes whatever you want, except maybe a 3D printer, but that's besides the point. That's modern day technology. We're not saying that ancient humans had 3D printers and 3D printed these stone vases. No, what we're saying is they use a machine that allowed them to easily create this stuff, to make it easier to mass produce it, because you can find a lot of vases that are very, very similar in shape and size. And that's the thing. At some point, they have to create a vase that's the same as another vase at some point. Is it going to be 100% perfectly identical? No, obviously not. Nothing's perfect, so no identical thing. But it's going to be very similar. I mean, the amount of times I've seen vases that look like the vase he showed in the picture, like, look at that vase. I can't be the only one that's seen that vase in different colors and multiple at different times. It's like, so ancient humans definitely made a lot of the same stuff, using the same type of machinery or tools or technique, right? For all we know, the machine was a water wheel. They had water running like through a river or something, right? They put a water wheel so it's spinning, and they attach the vase to it, right? The core, right? The stone, and then started carving at it while it's spinning, while the water wheel is spinning, and that's the machine. Still a machine. You go, oh, but it's a very basic, simple machine. It's not that fancy. It doesn't have high RPMs and all this extra. It doesn't have to. It just has to spin. That's the thing. It just has to spin, and that's all they need in order to do most of the work they need. And to get it to look so beautiful and perfect after they're done carving it is polish. Polishing is what would take the most amount of time to get it to be really, really pretty, for its quote unquote precision, for its high quality. Is the polishing. That's why the inside is crappy. The handles are not that perfect, but they didn't need to be. It's the rest of the vase that needed to be pretty. And as you can see in this image, that's a pretty vase. That's a pretty stone vase. To my opinion, right? To my observation, that's a pretty looking vase. I don't care if the lug handles are imperfectly placed or the holes are imperfect. They're not perfectly lined up. So all that proves is they didn't have a mother effing computer. They didn't have an iPhone, right? They didn't have a Mac computer to make this. They still had to use their bare hands and some tools. The point is, they definitely had the technology, the tools, the power tools to make this. So that's all we're saying. They definitely had some type of tool to spin, whether it was a hand tool or it was a water wheel, and you attached the vase to it and carved it with hand tools. It's technology is technology. Tools is tools. Power tools, whether it's powered by water or powered by electricity or powered by magnets or powered by God. Who cares, right? The power source. What matters is it's a power tool. Ancient humans use technology. What type of technology? That could be a little bit debatable, but so far it's more likely just basic low technology on average, and some high technology. And the high technology would be like a water wheel, because a water wheel using water as a power source is pretty high tech. Low tech would be me spinning the vase on a flywheel, and and then carving it. Use my left hand to spin the vase and my right hand to do the carving. That would be low tech. High tech would be using a river or water flow or airflow or heat or whatever I can use to make the vase spin. So that way I don't have to use, that way I can use both of my hands to do the work, the carving, the shaping, the polishing, right? Then that would be high tech. Advanced would be I zap it with a laser beam and boom, instantly turns into a stone vase. That would be advanced. And that's the end of the video.